Good morning, everybody. Welcome in. It's time now for Around the County with Nelson County Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins. My chair went the wrong way when I hit that button. Glad to have you with us. It's all made possible by Joe Hill's Outdoor Equipment and Power Sports here in Bardstown. And we'll hear from them in just a moment. But right now, we say good morning to Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins.
Ross, good morning, everyone, and glad to be here again. So we want to thank Joe Hill's Power Sports and for sponsoring this show. It's good trying to let everybody know what's going on in the community, and we turn this phone off.
Okay. So as you mentioned, everybody talks about the weather. We've got 100 plus heat index today. Is there consideration or planning for a cooling shelter here?
Well, we've got the option to do that. It's pretty early. We leave that open, but we've got it set up if anybody goes in. The Civic Center, there's a phone number there, and they can call, and we've got the cameras there now, and we can unlock the doors if we need to. So it's basically as a one call if we need it. So we'll be always monitoring that, and I don't think we've had any calls. I think one of the media people had asked me about it, and so like I'm telling you, so if there's a big need or push for it and somebody's electricity goes out and they lose heat or lose air, I guess you'd say, and we'll definitely be there to help them. So, but when you go in, we put that new locking system on, that remote, we can unlock it, and then we can have somebody come in and help them out. So,
and that phone number is on the door, I believe.
It's on the door, yes.
The front of the Civic Center, so can get that done. It's
going to be hot. I think your radio just said 105 heat index today. It goes from all that wet weather and kind of cool season to extreme hot. So, trying to get used to it. It's everybody needs to be safe, and definitely it's pretty rough out.
Well, the number to call here, if you want to text in a question, is 348-2222, and it says, Judge, what's the groundbreaking across from the hospital? And I'm not sure if they're talking Patriots Drive or if there's one further out that I haven't seen.
One past that, it's a development. I think it's been approved for a pretty good while. They've been planning it for several years, and it's going to be a combination of, I think, I've seen the plat, it's a combination of like patio homes and some storage buildings, and I think they started it last week.
Okay. It's
a really nice looking development that I've seen on the plat, so big need for it, I think. So it'll be another, it's right across from Flash A pretty much, right there on the right. It's in between Patriot Drive and Highland Drive. So,
yeah, I've seen the signage, and of course up at Patriot Drive, that's a car wash. And then there's an apartment complex back there that people kind of snuck up on you if you haven't been back there. Really nice multi-unit complex back there, and I don't know. I've been there a couple of times to talk with the management, but
they've added another, I think, 2 apartment buildings there last year or so, and I think there's another 1 or 2 going in there on Patriot Drive, I believe. So. And then where the car wash is, there's been talk of the owner is adding more patio homes in behind, like where the car wash is. Okay. There's another piece of land to the south of that. So, there's a need for that, these patio homes, and of course the storage, it seems like they're all full. So there's a bit pretty, like you say, the old story, supply and demand. So if there's a demand for it, we hopefully got people out there working to try to satisfy the needs of the community. So they moved a lot of dirt there. I mean, all these construction jobs have been delayed. All this weather we've had as far as all around, you see a lot of dirt being moved in the last 2 weeks. Same way as the farmers, everyone I've talked to is way, way behind on, cutting their hay mainly. A lot of them still haven't got all the crops out. It's been so wet. Some of them had to replant because it got flooded. So it's been a tough spring and winter on basically anybody in that field of work, farmers and construction and development. And I was out checking roads this morning before I come in, kind of doing a little drive around. I try to do that occasionally and looking at these roads and drainage issues. I was talking to our engineer this morning, Brad Spalding, and I mean, it's just an ongoing battle, You just got to stay on top of it. And our crews, we're behind. If anybody knows, I mean, we've told them that some drains that's maybe stopped up or some pipes that have been failing and ditch work, it's silts in. So there's just a lot of things that we're behind too. I mean, they've done a great job, but it's hard to get them all done at one time,
Well, moving day hit up the street from where we're sitting. I guess it's kind of a multi-day moving as different departments move to different locations, as the visitor center, the Old Courthouse, as it's known, is getting ready to get its bones reworked a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a mess up there, I'll tell you that. We've got everybody downstairs, Chamber and Main Street and Tourism and the NCTA Economic Development. Everybody on the bottom floor has moved out, and we're helping them move all their furniture and stuff because everything down there has to go. Because they're going to redoing walls and kind of getting everything back where it needs to be, and we're going to put a public bathroom downstairs. In the past, we got one upstairs, a public bathroom, so we'll have that downstairs when we get this done. And upstairs, all the people up there was me, and we'll be moving it also. Probably next week, is we'll be relocating basically everybody in the upstairs floor, and we don't have to move all the furniture and desk and all that up there.
That's a good thing.
That's the heat. That's the replacing the heating and air units and all the ductwork and the old boiler system. And we've got this thing laid out for 6 months. Hopefully we get it done in 3 or 4 months. But they're going to start construction July the 7th, which is a week from Monday, I think. And they'll be in there tearing out a lot of stuff. So it's going to be a mess around there for a while, but when we get done, it'll be better and be more efficient, and definitely we'll have some heat in the winter and some air in the summer. Because all these temporary units, it's been pretty rough on all the employees, and so they all been pretty gracious dealing with it. And so it's we talked about this 100 times. What you call it, the old elephant in the room, and so we got the price down pretty good, and everybody's worked together on it. And there's going to be some signs on the doors when they call the phones, and there's been some little bit of pause on the Commonwealth Attorney is using out there behind Cinco's, that building, renting that temporarily, and that's where he can't get out until I think probably 2 or 3 more weeks, even though the building's ready, because of the furniture and some fiber lines. And then same way with the driver's licensing, and they can't get out until because of the internet and all that
technology
stuff. So,
aspect of it, yeah.
So anyway, Joe Hill's Power Sports, and we want to thank them for that. And this number is 348-2222. Anybody wants to call or text, and we encourage you to do so.
We'll be back with at least one text I'm seeing on the inbound right after this word from our sponsor. And we're back with more of Around the County with Nelson County Judge-Executive Tim Hutchins, brought to you by Joe Hill Power Sports and Outdoor Equipment. Let's see, we have a text, but we also have a phone call.
Okay.
So we'll get our headphones on here so we'll be able to hear what our caller has to say. Stay tuned, caller. I think we've got all the buttons pushed correctly. All right, are you there?
Yes. I've been on the U.S. Loop at the corner there, that piece of property, I mean, it's sitting good. You can't even see it get out. The weeds is so high and the junk's all around it. and everything. They used to keep it clean. The people there before he died. Somebody else owns that thing. It's all rolled up. And I was just wondering, it's kind of hard to see to get out there.
Where's this at?
Huge ice loop. 62 crossing 733. It's it's just a mess there, junking everywhere.
This is on a okay. As far as getting in and out of pulling out on Boston Road, is that the part you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get them to. We can get that mowed now. As far as the junking, I think.
Yeah, I've called about it before, and they haven't done that. It's been like that for about 3 years.
Well, they've got it. I think that one might be in the court system. We're very aware of it, and it goes under the nuisance, and then part of that's planning and zoning because it is zoned. I forget what the zoning is, but my office or the girl next door, Vanessa, she's been taking care of that, and then we've done about 200 of these all over the county, and there's about 12, 15, maybe 20 that's if they don't cooperate, then they have to go through the system, which slows it down, and then I think that one may be in the court system, but I'll find out about that. You can text me on this same line if you just want to text me your phone number, and I'll make sure I'll call you back. But I can, as far as getting in and out, as far as the sight distance and the weeds and the grass and probably Johnson grass, we definitely can do that for safety.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All righty. And when he's off now, but probably still listening, when he texts in, make sure you kind of give me some hint. This text came in just a second ago, and it's in reference to, I believe, mentioning of the cooling center. It says, why should the county supply air conditioning to a so-called healthy person? It's not the county taxpayer's responsibility to keep people cool, is it? People survived before AC was available. Now for the unhealthy people, it's okay too. So I think they're just questioning any expense or efforts to open a cooling center.
Well, I don't know this person. Everybody's got different opinions, and I've got the same type of opinion to a certain degree that what he just stated. And people need to take care of themselves. But when there's an emergency situation and elderly, especially elderly, then if they don't have any family and don't have no place to go, and it's 105 degrees outside, and if you don't have the fans or ventilation, and we have had people that's passed away because of the heat, and we definitely don't want to get where somebody loses a life, and especially I would say mainly elderly people. Now he said unhealthy. Depends on everybody's situation. If you got a heart problem and kidney problem and you can't get out and you don't have any family, I think you got to be a little bit more open-minded as far as making sure that we got public safety. So we're not going to open it up and just let anybody come and go. I'm not doing that. It's going to have to be on a needed basis, So if electricity goes out and you get in these 105, you can see it when you have these big heat waves come in. Kind of funny when based on that, we was all raised without any air for years and years, and we teased about it yesterday, some of the guys working outside in this heat. But if you get used to the AC and then get back out in the heat, it's a little bit more difficult.
There is, from what I would observe, there's not a great deal of additional expense. There is some effort, but not a great deal of additional expense when it's opened up, because that building is heated and cooled 24 hours a day, 7 days a week anyway. It's really not an additional expense. Yeah. Now we
like I told you before, when we had the heat go out, some people had the heat go out and go in and the cool, and they made a mess in there and whatever. And so we've got that fixed from 2 years ago, and it really worked out pretty good this past winter. And now I don't know how many people would come in and show up, but if anybody has any true emergencies, they can call the office line 348-1800, and we'll try to assist and help. There is some private groups out there that are also helping these needs. It does not cost taxpayers any money, and we've got contacts with all of them. There's probably 3 or 4, 5 different groups that we work with that can help in the situation. Everybody's got different, if you got a health problems and if you don't have the income, I think you got to have a little bit of a conscience to work with these people to help them out. Now, again, going too far, I think everybody needs to take care of themselves, and I don't think it's taxpayers' responsibility to give everything to everybody and take care of it. They have to be responsible for themselves. But there is health situations, emergency situations, financial situations. So that's what we're looking at.
Judge, I think the evening after our last show, the magistrates voted to allow on-highway use under certain criteria of what we would call, I guess, utility vehicles or side-by-sides, off-road type stuff.
We've talked about this several times, and the state passed a law that we can approve it locally, and I've got mixed feelings about it. I've had probably the majority of the people I've talked to once it passed. There's a few that's talked about safety-wise, and I agree with that. But when you let a motorcycle driver down the road without a helmet and not a seatbelt, so how far do you go? And the state passed that law probably 25 years ago. And being responsible, because when you're out on the road, you always got to think about other people driving, your kids and families too. So we passed first reading on it, knowing that there's going to be a meeting with the state at the Kentucky Association of Counties, and magistrates wanted to make sure that everybody gets all the information we can to make sure we do this thing correctly, and we still have to pass second reading.
And I think the state rule doesn't go into effect, I believe, July 5.
Yeah, July, 1st of July.
1st of July, yeah.
And when you have the surrounding counties, we know Washington County's already passed it, and Marion County, I don't know if they had their first reading or not, and LaRue. When you get to surrounding counties that's approving it, it's going to be kind of difficult when you go from county to county. And the enforcement side, I've talked to the sheriff about it, and there is a lot of inspections that has to be done and safety things on the machines and so on, but I think if the police make a pretty good strong statement early on, let people know that they're not out running up and down the road drinking and partying, and they have their seatbelts on and they have their helmets for the kids and whatever, and all the different safety policies are in place, and making sure that nobody's make sure they're all following the law. But just like a car, anybody driving a car going 100 miles an hour, and
Boyd mentioned last week they have to be licensed, just like
they do, inspected. They got to be inspected, licensed, and so anyway, we haven't passed the second reading, but it looks like it will be done. But there's some other training sessions and things we have to go to and make sure it's all done properly. And some of the magistrates want to do that because like say KCO, Kentucky Association of Counties, they want to make sure everybody's doing it the right way. And I think it's, again, I got mixed feelings about it, but it looks to me like there's more people want it than don't want it by a huge margin. And
I mean, I know this is probably the second I say this, it'll be something totally opposite, but the safety issue is really in the operator of the ATV or whatever you want to say. I mean, they could cause an accident that would injure or kill somebody in a vehicle, but typically I would think that most of the, hopefully we don't have very many or any, but most of the injuries would be to the people that would be in those open units. Obviously seat belts can help with a roll cage, but those are the people most in danger that need to be the most disciplined about how they operate it and how they let people that are riding with them operate.
Well, like some of them said, there's a lot of them doing it anyway,
Yep.
And this will, at least the ones that are already done it, and I get it. If you live in a rural area, especially and driving, because you can already do it. The farmers already can, by law, they've already have the right to do that.
Unknown caller.
Yep. Go ahead.
They have, farmers have the right to do that. They passed a law several years ago where you can take your four-wheelers and side-by-sides and go from farm to farm and up and down the road, and so that's already in place.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. I would say it's not going to be an easy thing to monitor, so.
Yeah. And, of course, as you pointed out, the actual monitors and enforcers of that will be the police departments that will have to go through knowing what the rules are, and they will vary potentially from county to county. If you want to call or text, all you have to do is pick up the phone and call or text 502-348-2222. Let's see. Will the driver owners of these things have to carry insurance like automobile owners have to? That's and that I can't answer.
That's in the policy too. They have the ordinance. They have to maintain. And if I told you I wouldn't be telling. I don't know what the limit was, but they have to maintain their insurance, basically like an automobile. So they got to be insured. But again, you got to monitoring all these things. I think it's going to be important for the police and people out there, make sure that they, especially early on, then we're going to make an example if we have to say that way, but let them know that they're not going to be just running up and down the road crazy and all that kind of stuff. So I don't foresee it being a huge problem, really, to be honest about it.
Okay. We have one bridge construction project underway right now in the county, or?
Woodlawn, the old Woodlawn Road, they call it bridge. We've got, I was going to bring it up anyway, there was someone called the road department, my engineer this morning, and I think not happy because the road had to be shut down, and they go that route and trying to, supposedly didn't get notified, but we've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it, and it goes back to the same old thing. I've been through this, talked to you about how do you get your messages out to the public? Well, if they don't look at the Facebook, fiscal court Facebook page, we put everything we can put on our fiscal court meetings. We have the meetings that we put everything out on the social media, and then I've got this radio show. We talk about everything on there every week, so. And it's posted, and the signs are out, and it's like the state roads do the same thing, and then you catch some hell from the public. I mean, I'm not going to deny it, but in this case, we got a $335,000 grant to put a bridge on a county road that we would never been able to afford to do that for many years. And when the state inspects these bridges and they're failing, and then I think this will be the second one that we've got this year, working on the third one. I mean, that's just like a gift to the local taxpayers. Right. So, safety first. And, it's a little bit, I guess, a little bit disturbing, a little bit uncomfortable for some people. When I get it, I've done the same thing, driving roads. We're going to witness that on 245 here pretty soon when they get that roundabout, and down on Templin and building a new bypass, and you got to have detours and so on, but, I'm asking the public to have some patience, but if you don't upgrade and fix your roads and bridges and detours and get these routes to help after, a few months, it opens it up, just like the roundabout down here by St. Joe. Oh, my goodness. I mean, calls and complaints, but once that thing got opened up, it's been great. It's absolutely been great. That traffic goes so smooth, but, you just have to go through those, have had a little pain there for a little while, and it's hard. You can't send a letter to, we got 48,000 people in the county. To everybody, every time we do that, we try to, we put all the information we can get out, and be honest about it, it's kind of up to the public. You got to keep up with what's going on in your community. I mean, some people may not like me saying that, but it's talking about this one individual about taxpayers' money. You know what it cost if we had to send a letter to everybody in the county and the postage and for every little thing? You can't do it. So, we got to use common sense and make sure we do the right thing. So, never going to satisfy everybody, but it's. I think that my engineer and everybody we did down there in this case, I think they did the right thing. We're doing the right thing, and I'm backing them up 100%.
Yeah, as you pointed out, if you turn down a gift, two things happen. You may have to pay for what you turn down the road, whether sooner or later, and then you might be less likely to get one in the future. I believe I've got this correct. I just read this morning or yesterday that in Elizabethtown, where they've been building a few roundabouts, I believe the city itself is funding and doing one that, just to kind of get ahead of traffic situations. Where many of the roundabouts we see and here are all involved with state roadways, and I guess in most cases, no expense other than the headache expense that the construction time.
Well, when you go out and try to, just basically, hate to say, use the word lobbying, but that's what it is. When I go to Frankfort and the previous administrations, anybody ever, there's in this state, there's 120 counties, and then we've got 50 states, and everybody's looking to get money and improve their traffic and the roads, and so in this case, when I went to Frankfort, and two bridges, we got one on Sutherland Lane we're going to do also, but I mean that's just a gift, and we're working on the other one. We're going to try to do 2 or 3 every year. So the local, we just don't have enough local money to do it. And you never will have enough local money to do it. So the state, when they come in, and there's some federal, same way, we've got to try to improve all of our traffic to make it better. But I know it's a headache. Another one, I'll go ahead and talk about it today. They're designing, as we speak, 245. There's been money allocated from the state to widen 245 all the way down 65. I met with them several times, as other leaders, and Senator Higdon, County Mastroni from and then Brad Bottoms and his team out of E-Town, and that's just like 150. 150's been a lot of complaints when you get to Washington County side where the building all that, and I mean it's tough when you build a road in the existing road. If you can build a road off-site, don't affect anybody. I mean, it's 1,000 times better and easier and actually cheaper in most cases, but you just can't do that. So the 150 project, like I say, when you get in Nelson County side, more than likely that's going to start sometime, next year. And that design, the design I think is pretty much complete. And then they hopefully get some more money out of the General Assembly this coming session because it's on the radar. It's all in the 6-year road plan. And then 245, we've got it pushed up, sooner. Since I've been here, it's moved it up on the radar a little bit more or faster. And Senator Higdon and Mastroni both has helped us. But you still got a few years before you actually do it, and you still have traffic problems. So that's what I'm going to bring up here now. 509 and 245, there was another bad wreck during our picnic, St. Gravy's picnic, and one of our volunteers that's worked down there for years, he got a pretty bad wreck, got hit and got hurt. And so there was a lot of talk down there. I was down there over several days at the picnic, people talking about it, and I said, we have talked to the state numerous times, and everybody wants a red light there or some kind of a light, and some of them's a little bit fired up about it, and they said, "We'll get a petition together," and I said, "That's fine, get one together, and I'll turn it in," and I think they're in that process now. Getting the state to put something up temporarily like that, like I say, they're taking red lights out and putting these roundabouts everywhere because of the safety. They've done proved that there's a whole lot less accidents and less deaths and less injuries when you put these roundabouts in. So trying to get a red light put in on a road like 245 out in the middle of nowhere. I hate to say middle of nowhere, but I mean, they just really don't want to do it. The cost is so high, and then you got to monitor it, and then stopping the traffic, and then people fly through them, and that's when you have all these bad wrecks. People try to hit that pedal and go faster to get through it. Next thing you got these T-bones, and so they're not. It's something the state really don't want to do. Now I get it on this 509. There's a lot because you got the school there trying to get in and out, and it's not easy. So, but anyway, there's a petition going around, and I got a contact on it last night, and I said that's fine. Y'all want to get one together? I'll work with you if we can just get a coastal light up there. Anything will help, and I'm all in favor of it. But I do understand the state side of it too. So. Just because you think that's going to solve the problem, in most cases they're going to prove it to you that you put these lights up out in these areas like that. There's first of all, there's some higher speeds going on when you get that far out.
You're not kidding.
If you're going 55, 60, 65 miles an hour and they try to run through these red lights or flash through them and somebody's pulling them out, and then a whole lot more chance of somebody getting hurt or killed. But I think the state and this county for sure, and we've been the last two and a half years since I've been there. I don't know exactly how much communication they had prior to that, but we've been working diligently on getting these roads. The 150 again, and then up there by McDonald's, all the way down through town, down to the Old Courthouse Park. In the next couple of years, you got the bypass going on out there, and it's going to be a pain when they cut that 245 traffic off, where they got to go through Templin for probably several months. And but what do you do? I mean, if you have improvements, you got, just like this 509, you got to get in there and try to get them done. So it's long term, it's going to be better for everybody.
Just got a little pain before the gain.
This Hugh Ice Lupus lady called about a while ago. We've got, just let her, if she's listening, that I've already talked to my engineer. This is the one I used that as when they put that bridge on Boston Road. Mm-hmm. This is the road that everybody was, a lot of them fussing about. And we put some shoulders, and we still got to let them know we're still going to be down there dressing it up, fixing some ditches, and redoing some shoulders and getting that. Just haven't got to it with all the rain, but we are going to do some more work down there. Just let that, if the caller's still in there, let them know.
Judge, we had texts coming in and something talked about early on in the show, and you enlightened me on it, but somebody's asking about a commercial development, Tractor Supply, as to whether or not they are going to get a new place. And at one time they had made application, and then you on the show told us that an application had been pulled by them, apparently. Right. And I don't know whether anything else has happened since then. A text asked that question.
Well, the people know when people's trying to get companies or whoever apply for applications to, in this case, Tractor Supply, and I've got the planning director now. I've got it set up where they always send me an email of what's coming up to be on the public hearing list, so we'll know not just if it gets done or not done kind of ahead of time, so people ask me a question like they're doing now, so be more informed. And I want to let everybody know, because the things that I don't like to say is I don't know. Yeah. When people ask me a question, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. And that don't set too good with me. So I've got the communication line a whole lot better with all the different departments, that when they send them in, and we try to put that message out. And then when in the zoning, you got to be real careful, KRS 100, and what you say, how you say it, who you talk to. But this case, Tractor Supply had an application, and then they withdrew it. Mm-hmm. And what I was told is the shopping center that they're in, they've agreed to remodel or expand or whatever, and they're going to stay there. Now that's, again, that's, I'm not privy to everybody's private information, but that's what I was told. So
somebody did ask, and goes back to the on-highway use of ATVs and side-by-sides. Question really said, can an ATV go 55 miles an hour? that's how I read it. They may have been asking if there's a speed limit in the ordinance that has received first reading.
Well, that's a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
It says in the state law that you can allow them locally, if you decide to approve something, we can allow them to drive on roads that are listed at 35 mile an hour or 45 mile an hour or 55 mile an hour, which means you can't not ride them on interstates. Like Bluegrass is what, 70?
I believe that's right.
65, I-65 is 70. So when they put that in the ordinance that allows us to go up to 55-mile roads, that don't mean they can drive 55 miles an hour. That means they're allowed to ride on
that road.
On that road that's posted at 55. That's what that means. It's very confusing, and I understand where they're coming from, because I was very confused about it too. And how fast do they go? I'll be honest about it, I don't know how fast they go. But
I know they can do, some of them can do 55.
Because, you know, some of them, the big, what I call the bigger ones, the nicer ones, I've seen some with like 3, 4, 5 seats, and they look like a big Cadillac riding down the road. I mean, you've seen them on golf courses or whatever. They take them around the top. I mean, so there are some. I mean, again, they can't. Speed limit wise, that's what it's a posted road, 55 miles or less, which means they limit them where they can't get on the interstates.
Did our ordinance establish a maximum, or does it follow the highway maximum?
Well, our first ordinance, it says any road up to 55 mile an hour.
Okay.
That's the first reading, and which means they can get out on these other roads and get, you know, if you limit it, and we talked about this and debated it, if you limit it to a 35-mile road, most county roads are posted 35, and most subdivisions are posted 25. So if I'm driving out off of, let's say, Samuel Loop, I pick out a road, Sullivan Lane, or wherever, and I'm going from point A to point B, but to get to point B, I have to get out on 509, maybe to go a quarter of a mile to get to my neighbor, wherever I'm going to. So if you just post it for those 35-mile-an-hour roads, it really almost is not going to do you any good, to be honest about it, to get from point A to point B. And it was very confusing early on if you read that and didn't understand it. So, and I get it, but that don't mean, I don't know if there was a speed limit in that on these things or not. I can't remember, but we'll discuss this again in next. We're having a special meeting at the end of, well, matter of fact, it's this Thursday, I think. We moved our meeting dates from, normally we would meet next Tuesday, which is whatever day,
July 1, that would
second, 1st or 2nd, and then several up with me and myself. I'm going to probably be out of town for a few days, and so we canceled that meeting. We'll have our next regular meeting July the 15th, I think, and that meeting, that's the first meeting that will be at the new library. So all the fiscal court meetings will be posted and held at the new library. We've got all that approved, and we got a special meeting this Thursday just to try to clean up some stuff at the end of the year. Our year ends July 1st, and we decided to have a special meeting, and that will be held at the regular meeting room at the courthouse. And everything on the agenda, what's got to be very specific when you get into that statute. So we will have a meeting Thursday at 9 o'clock, and everybody can, anybody's got anything they want to talk to, listen, whatever. We always try to encourage as many people to come. You know, we Zoom in ours live now. We've got that set up too. It's worked out really good. It took us a while to get there, but it's they can come in and they can listen to it live, or they can listen to it. We post it, you know, the next day in most cases, so it's all over the social media, so anybody can listen to the meetings, and I encourage them to. And I know everybody don't have time to just sit around, but if you're sitting around and playing on your phone or watching Love Boat or whatever, they can sit there and watch the fiscal court meeting and learn a little bit about the community. So, I mean,
you're not going on a cruise while you're away, are you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I thought you were going on the Love Boat.
No, I just brought it up. I've heard people talk about that show. So, But, we're being, and when I started like this show and all of our social media and all of our meetings and everything we're doing, I just don't see how you can be any more transparent.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, and I hear people, they ask me and thank me all the time about everything we're doing so everybody can understand and know what, and I know everybody don't have time to sit around and listen to all this stuff, but it does affect you, and when you live in the county, everything we do affects you, so we're trying to, that's our goal.
We have a text. I'm going to read it verbatim, and then you can take it the direction.
Unknown caller.
Once I clear my phone. Do you have an approved road put into split a farm in tracks? And there may have been a word or two left out of this, but...
Say it again now.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to read it. It says, do you have an approved road put into split a farm in tracks? So I don't know if the question is, do you have to have an approved road if you... I know you guys have discussed and it's been approved that you can add.
It's probably private roads for saying this. You can still put private roads in. It's been like that for years, and to split up a farm, I guess you'd say. When I took office in '94, we addressed some of it then. It was a problem building, we want to call it sheep or goat roads, or just people like you go out and buy a road or a piece of land off of that road and it's falling apart and you don't have internet back there, you don't have water back there, and a lot of people don't know and how far do you want the government to get involved? I don't like a bunch of regulations. I want less regulations, and so, and I've talked about this a lot. We studied this thing for over a year, because that's when I come down with that damn cancer and all that, and I had got a little bit of delay, and I had my engineers, we studied it, and we were around about 10 counties. I got a book about 3-4 inches thick. It's got, anybody wants to read this data, how we came up with this analysis at the end. And then we had some ARPA money left, and then we had private money put in. That's when we passed, I think, 160 or 70 street lights. We're putting all over the county at intersections. We upgraded our phone system and got rid of 9,000. We was paying $9,300 a month. Now we got it down to $2,350 a month, which saves $7,000 a month. That's $84,000 a year that we took that money and allocated it to help pay for the street lights, about 50% of it. So it didn't cost taxpayers money, like this individual said, or saved that much money. And then I worked on that thing myself for a long time, trying to I had to get the magistrates' votes and support, and I want everybody to be engaged in it. So we blacktop a lot of county roads that needed it bad. We changed our subdivision regulations where they actually would put a little bit narrow road in, and where they can escrow some money for the next 15 years later. So a new subdivision is put in today. Once it's placed, as they started what we voted that in 2 or 3 months ago. So somebody puts in a new subdivision, finishes it out, puts a surface on it. Usually you take 16, 15, 16 years you have to resurface. So the way we put it in, that road is going to be 100% complete after so many houses are built, and then you won't have to redo it. So you're talking about that road should last 15 years, let's say. 15 years later, some money's escrowed, so the county taxpayers won't have to put any money up for that subdivision for, let's say, 20 to 30 years. That's going to save the county taxpayers over time, 20-something years, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, depends on how much growth we have. So it's hard to explain. We went through this thing, and I worked on this thing, and me and the engineers, and we really, really put a lot of time in that. So part of that was we want to make sure they were done right. There were some things that we kind of added, some things we deleted that I think was a little bit over-regulated. And the way we laid it out and did it, it's not going to cost the developers any more money, and it's not going to cost the taxpayers any more money, and we're going to save the taxpayers a lot of money at the end. Another piece we put in on that was private roads. You could have 3 5-acre tracts. Now you can go up to 5-acre tracts on private roads, and in reality, if you got very much road frontage, you can go up to 7 private tracts. And what that did was we'll make sure we didn't hurt the developer, because he's taking his expense and risk and making sure he gets a return on his dollar. Helps the farmer that wants to sell his land for whatever reason, retire, illness, whatever. It won't hurt him. I think it's going to be a lot better long term. They've got to build a better road, a gravel road. They could put what we call bleeders in for drainage and all that, because we've inherited a lot of private roads that's just falling apart. It's not a public road. We can't physically go out there and do the work on a private road with county equipment and property because it's illegal. So I want to make sure it's done correctly for the citizens. They have to put internet in now, because they always come back to the fiscal court. We found out they have to get water. It's some way they can get water, either a private line back there or a 3-inch line, 4-inch line, depends on how many tracks it is. So whoever buys a road, tract of land now that's on a private road, it's going to be long-term a lot better for them. And then, as I say, the developer who's ever taken a risk doing it, that their return, I think their return would actually be a little better. If you sell a tract that's got water on it and internet on it, I think your return would be a little stronger. So we worked on this thing. I'm telling you, it was a lot of time, a lot of meetings, and I worked it out with the magistrates, and that's how I ended up getting the water on Hurricane Hills. There's about 4 or 5 what I call private roads that we took the ARPA money, put it in all this big formula, a spreadsheet. It was a lot of detail. That's the only way I could get all this stuff passed, is put it as what I call a complex, what's Washington say, a complex bill. But they did read it all. So, yes, they did read it all. So, I'm telling you, it was a lot of time, a lot of meetings, and a lot of behind the scenes, and working with everybody trying to understand it, because it is very complex. But we got it all done, and I had to wait through. You have to have public hearings through planning and zoning, where the statutes established. They have to have their readings and everything, and then it comes back to us. So we finally got it all done and finished. It's going to be really, really good for the community.
Yeah. It should help we have a housing shortage, as many places do, and it should help give a few more places to build. Maybe not multi-unit developments that have 30, 40, 50 units, but
yes.
But as you pointed out, up to 7.
One other thing we did, we just passed last week, or finalized it, I think it was last week, but if you or anybody owns a tract of land that you want to deed it off to your son or daughter or family member, and I think it's 1 per, if you got, because there's statutes you have without going through the whole zoning and meeting the comprehensive plan. There's just a lot of stuff that people would have to do, they can't afford to do, or they don't want to do. And if you've got a son or daughter, or somebody wants to live out in the, I'm going to say country, don't want to live in a subdivision. And my dad owns 10 acres, and by golly, I want to give my daughter or son an acre, and y'all won't let me do it. How many times have we heard that? Probably 1,000 times. So we passed another law, a rule, that allows them to deed off an acre. You got to still have, the parent tract still has to have 5 acres. So if you've got 6 acres, you can do a 1 acre tract and keep your 5 parent acre tract. And that's going to allow few more homes out in the rural areas that people want to live, and they don't have to go through the process, and you can help a family member out. And it costs a lot of dang on money. These 5 acre tracts are selling up to 125 to, I've seen one other day, 140,000. Then you got to turn around and build a house on it. So that should help and simplify things for people. They can help their family members out, and it's probably not perfect, but it's going to be another big addition for the community, and people can, like you said, affordable housing.
We have a few more minutes. 348-2222 to text in or call in. 502 is the area code, of course.
It's flying by today. Been a lot of good discussion. The one thing I'm going to say too is I promoted St. Gabriel's Picnic heavily because I've been down there all of my life, and So we had a picnic Saturday. I want to thank everybody for coming out. We had a big crowd, and the heat may have hurt us a little bit on the outside, but we had a good crowd. I don't know what our numbers did, but I think we'll have we broke our record last year with our, what I call as far as making the amount of money, and I think this year we'll be right close to it. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. We had a big turnout and a lot of food, and a lot of good times, and turned out really, really good. And the weather, it's a whole lot better to be a 95 than it is 10 inches of rain. So we did have a good turnout. So I want to thank everybody for that. Thank you for promoting it and all the spots that you added on the radio. If we get a bill to St. Gregory's with all the spots, I'm gonna throw it in the trash can. But I do want to thank everybody, and we had a lot of volunteers, a lot of good help.
Yeah. It takes a village to do a lot of things, especially the parish picnics that we have.
Oh man, that's we got a big one. You know, we got one of the biggest ones around, and it's it's a lot of work and a lot of good volunteers. I'm gonna tell you, just be honest. Then we had to turn around and clean up. You got to set up, and then you got to have it. That Saturday night, it was so hot, and then we had to go back Sunday, and had a lot of good groups. And come Monday,
yeah, and
then today even, I'm just flat wore out. I ain't gonna lie about it.
I think I saw you have a new priest.
We do, a new pastor,
and he had the duty of pulling the winning tickets out.
Yeah,
he looked a little bit nervous about it.
He was. He hadn't been really around that. He just came in this week and followed Charles, and he hadn't been really around any picnics and everything. So he's been welcome pretty good. He's a little nervous. And,
he had a $5,000 ticket in his.
And I wished I could tell you who won it now, but I can't remember who it was.
It wasn't me. It wasn't
me.
You,
it wasn't you.
So.
That's a lot of people supported.
Indeed.
Turned out really nice.
So as we move to new offices for all these entities that are on the first floor, and you guys are moving also to just a little bit down the street, will the phone numbers change?
No, when we put that new system in, all
that's
the phone
good
numbers. Thing. Yeah, that's really worked out good, and all the internet. It goes through everything goes through the internet line and. Phone numbers stay with you, so they can still call the same numbers, and it goes 348-1800. If you don't know where you're calling or want to call anybody or what office, just call 348-1800. I keep putting that out, and they'll get you to the right spot.
Okay.
And that's very helpful because we are going to be kind of scattered out in different places, and probably foot traffic, we get as much in the code enforcement office for building permits and so on, and they will be at the career center. That's where they'll be at, where the driver's license is now.
Right.
Actually, they'll be on that one side, I forget, but anyway, that's where they'll be at for a couple of weeks until the driver's license people move out, completely move out, but that's where they'll be at. And then Chamber will be there, and then the tourism is in behind like where Hearst Drugs is in the rear of that building for the tourism center, and all that'll be there. And then Main Street, she'll be jumping around different offices, and my office and treasurer and EMA, all that we're going to be in where Terry Goldhagen's. He retired, so I worked out a deal with Terry to move right there close to the courthouse, and we were actually in there working on it, helping him clean it up and stuff. We're going to be in there, so at the maximum, this thing will be 6 months. That's what I've told everybody, just plan. But I don't really think it'll take that long. But we'll see. I mean, we have to order. When you got to order all this equipment and all these air conditioners and get them up on the roof and all that, it takes a long time to do it all. So.
Well, Judge, thank you very much. And this show is live, but it's also recorded. And keep an eye out on WBRTcountry.com and also our Facebook page and also Nelson County Gazette.
And we want to say, again, thank you to Joe Hills Power Sports for sponsoring this. And next week, I will be out of town. And I'll have two guests on here that I'll let you announce them. I'll call you and let you know when it will be, or who it will be. I'm going to try to have some more emergency and EMS people here probably.
And we'll be here next Tuesday.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, everyone. And call anytime.